Cannot see you.
Okay, let's get Denver Broncos models. So, ones that YouTube are airing and they aren't paying us for. No bullshit. So I can't see you, Colby, right now. So I don't know if you can see me.
I can see you.
We can see each other. Yeah, it's
Finally.
Same old. Finally.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we made a video. We make videos when they're needed. Anyway, we got a lot to discuss about where, there's been moves. We've been breaking down film as we always do, not highlight reel. So why don't you go ahead and explain the difference between, when a coaching staff, I should say, scouting staff, players, when they're breaking film down versus people putting out highlight reels. Could you go over that?
Okay. So I wanted to bring up this subject because I've gotten into it with a few people about the difference between film review and highlight reels. And again, just because you say you watch film doesn't mean that you watch the correct film, because there's a lot of things that go into watching film, because I do hours upon hours upon hours of film analysis and film reviews. Same with this guy right here when he has the time, and it's very rare that we have the time to even do this together. So we have a few people out there that say that they watch the film, and then they turn around and then they put 2021, 2022 highlights, and then they just show the good plays of Justin Simmons. What I do here is I go through series upon series upon series upon series of a certain type of player.
Well, can I stop you just a second? You say you do this, but professionally,
yep.
GMs, scouting departments, coaching staffs, they're doing what you're doing, in their own whatever it is that they're looking at. So go on. I just wanted to say that these people aren't watching highlight reels, like, for instance, the Justin Simmons. And I'll let you get back on track. Why the same people produce these highlight reels and say, see, don't listen to these people, when we've provided series. You can see the entire series of a game. And you get this. The reason they don't want people to see that is, like in the case of Justin Simmons, you can see that each and every offensive coordinator that the Broncos played last year targeted his side of the field. I'd say at least 70%. I'd say if you were to put a percentage on it, I would say it's between 65 and 70% of the passing plays were definitely on Surtain and Justin Simmons' side of the field. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
When you put all the series together, just as an example. I mean, it was just as an example.
Well, I like that you brought up the whole professional aspect of it with the coaching staffs, with the scouts, with the player personnel departments, because they don't need stats to critique a player. What they use is what I use, is a film analysis point of view. That's how you come up with game plans, and that's how you critique a player. They don't use scouts and GMs and player personnel department people don't use all up pro football focus stats. They don't use Wikipedia stats. They don't do that to grade a player. What they do to critique a player and to come up with a game plan is use the all 22 film review. And that's why in every film review I do, I encourage people to go do it, because we're in a stats-based world now, and they don't want anybody to look at the film. They just want to look at highlight reels, and they want to look with stats without the context. You have to have stats with context to bring me and to convince me on stats, because when you talk to me about stats, I'm automatically not going to take you serious, because all out with the Jerry Jeudy thing. I show series after series after series after series after series of a guy playing off-ball coverage on Jerry Jeudy, and Jerry Jeudy still jogging on routes, not running crisp routes and still not running the routes to the fullest. And there are plays in there that I showed that
don't forget the lack of blocking.
The lack of blocking too, because a receiver has to have great blocking ability, great route running ability, great separation ability, and I just don't believe Jerry Jeudy has all those combined. He shows flashes here and there, but it's not on a consistent basis. And that's what I mean. That's what happens when you watch the All 22 film review.
Well, that's why they want to provide highlight reels, because that masks, that puts a curtain in front of what really is going on.
Yes, absolutely.
And we don't do that.
No, we don't do that here. I don't do that on my channel. And there's a reason why I'm a coach and these people are not. Because I see things a lot more detailed and a lot more differently than people say that they watch the film and they show highlight reels. That's why I am a coach and you're not. That's why I'm a linebackers coach and you're not. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back here, but I worked hard to get where I'm at. I worked extremely hard to get the position I am lucky to have. And I cannot wait to show my students, my linebackers in the linebacking room, how to watch film, how to break down film, and how to develop their skill set. Because with these people that show highlight reels aren't really into the game detailed orientedly like I am.
Well, and I'm going to say this as a disclaimer. I can't blame them, but don't claim you're doing what we're doing either. Let me just put this analogy together. I don't have any problem with fans, and I get it. I get it. It's like this. Let's just get out of football and use golf, for instance. And you can go out, you can use stats in golf, and because it's per player, and that makes some sense. But people who like watching the PGA and they like following players, they watch the game, and they're not interested. Just as fans of golf and golf players, they're not interested in that player who's got 6 cameras on him when he's when he's going through his routine, when he's trying to get better, and listening to his coaches, his trainers. They could care less about watching 6 cameras of film and different angles of how this guy is, every motion this guy is doing, what he needs, and I can't blame them for, that's just, they're not going to want to see that. But they, if they really truly want to understand why a shot worked, why a shot didn't work, why it maybe drifted off, or, you've got to understand this. So there are golf enthusiasts that would be interested. So I don't think what we are is something that you're going to find like we're not a fan channel.
Good point.
We're a truly analytical channel because, Mark Schlereth and Derek Wolf were schooling DMAC, who was, a host, talking about Football Focus. And these 2 football players said, well, Focus, they don't know anything. So you can take Football Focus's stats, but you have to look at the film to get the context behind what you're looking at. Like, Justin Simmons, I love using this guy, his interceptions. Now, one would say, look at the stats and say, wow, but when you look at the film, you really get bad quarterback play than you do great safety play. It's because it's totally apparent. We've had people from other teams take a look at Justin Simmons who watched the film, and they were like, oh my God, this guy really is bad. Personally, I don't think that Sean Payton's going to put up with it. And we're going to get into, I think we can get into this too. But I want to, if we're off the subject of defining what we do, I kind of want to get into the offensive lineman they picked, the right tackle, which screams front office to me. When players, they used to be able to do it all. Well, there are players that can do it all. I mean, just let me scratch that. There are players that can do it all. Now, this right tackle that they got, he seems to be a really good run blocker within a certain system. Because we talk about systems and how important systems are. That's another thing that I think the NFL really by and large, they don't get it. I mean, except for the few that do. Kansas City, Buffalo now, maybe the Eagles now. Teams that really get keeping players centric to their systems, right? They're the ones moving forward. They're the ones, people want to emulate. But I don't think I don't think the Broncos, other than somebody like Sean Payton, understands, you got to get people within the system. And we'll get into all that too with Sean Payton and the front office in a bit. But I think the NFL itself is guilty for paying players, giving them. I mean, look at throughout NFL history. Think of all the good players that are in the Hall of Fame and some that didn't even make the Hall of Fame. That they could do it all as a right tackle. They were excellent pass protectors. They were top, run blocking. They could do it all. And the thing is they didn't even get paid. But nowadays, everybody wants to get paid, and half these guys, they can't do it all. So we're paying a guy that can run block, but, has struggles with pass blocking, and why? And it's not just the Broncos. Why are look at and it's not just, offensive linemen, it's quarterbacks too. Why would you pay Osweiler $100 million? I just don't get this. I don't get it. I don't get what's going on with why they're paying players that, Justin Simmons, for instance, players that why are we playing? Why in the NFL? And this is going on league wide too. Why are so many players getting paid they really don't deserve? Because they can't do it all. Yeah, that's a question to you, I guess, is what I just don't understand what's going on with this.
Well, the NFL is more into paying quarterbacks than they are the most important positions on an NFL team and on a football team, and that's the offense and defensive lines and linebacking and all the above. They don't get it. One of my favorite players of all time that I've seen is Luke Kuechly. He was a linebacker for the Carolina Panthers. I'm not a Carolina Panthers fan. I just loved watching Luke Kuechly play because
you're a football fan.
Yes, I'm a football fan. And hold on. Luke Kuechly understood the importance of watching the All-22 film. That helped him grow as a player and grow as a better inside linebacker for the Carolina Panthers. Watching his progression from Boston College to being an all-pro, first-team all-pro linebacker and a consistent Pro Bowler, and he's going to be a Hall of Famer one day. But just watching that type of level of play, and then you go and watch the Denver Broncos with Josie Jewell and Alex Singleton, it's nowhere close to the level of a Luke Kuechly. And that's just an example. What I think the NFL has gone to is princess quarterbacks, what you've brought up many, many times, princess receivers, princess corners, princess safeties, and they forget about guys like one of my favorite players in the NFL currently is Jeffrey Simmons for the Tennessee Titans, that interior three-tech defensive end who they should pay immediately because he's up there with an Aaron Donald, with a Kenny Clark, with a Chris Jones, guys like that can apply that push up the middle. And I believe like Derek Wolfe, people don't understand the importance of how much Derek Wolfe and Malik Jackson had to that 2015 fucking
well there is one person. There is one person who did, and he said it right off the bat. That was Von Miller said, they're the reason for my success. We've showed on film. Everybody can see it. Every single time you get pushed up the middle, it is kryptonite to quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Every time. It just feeds the edges. We brought this up so many times.
Yeah,
in film.
Yeah, in film, and we've said this till we're blue in the face, and people don't get it. This is why we're not a fan-centric channel. We're going to give every move an A+ move. We're not going to, do this, that, and the third for the Denver Broncos. We're going to hold this organization accountable. We're going to look at the whole entire aspect of the organization.
And why is it we do that? Because we want them to get better. We aren't. What you said, it's the losing culture. What did you say?
Well, it's
the losing culture club.
It's the losing culture cult. It's what it is. They
lose culture cult, thinking that everything's A+ move. Do not vary from that script. Don't worry. We're going to keep doing the same thing, and everything will be just fine.
And I just want to say this to people. I'm tired of winning the offseason. I want to win during the season. I want to see this team actually make the right moves and do it correctly. And again, I'm sick of people talking all their shit in the offseason, and then during the season they're not here. I'm sick of it. And I've done this to my channel. I'm not here's the reality of the situation. We can get back on track, but I wanted to say this. If you're gonna come on my channel and you're gonna start stupid shit, I'm gonna remove you from now on, or your comment's gonna be blocked. Because I don't want to talk to people that don't understand the game of football and that don't want to learn about the game of football.
Well, they think they understand. They
don't understand. No, they don't understand, and I'm sick of it. If you're going to come on my channel and start your trolling crap and thinking that you're the best since whatever, I'm going to remove you. I want to engage with people that actually understand the game of football and actually want to learn the game of football. That's where I'm at in my YouTube centric thing right now. Is I'm going to engage with people that actually want to get it. If you're going to come on here and start your bullshit, I don't want anything to do with you, and I'm going to remove you. That's just the reality of the situation. And when it comes to the Denver Broncos strictly, the Denver Broncos need to show me on the field, because for the past 7-8 years, they win every offseason. Every offseason, they're the darlings for the national media, the local media, and the fan base, and all the above. Which I believe that there's a divide in the fan base right now. I truly believe that, and I'm not going to sit here and just cheerlead moves like Mike McGlinchey, who, again, doesn't, going back to the system-centric thing, is he doesn't fit the Sean Payton system. He is a and I show it on film. I series. He is a stretch tackle. He gets to the second level when they do stretch plays. He's a West Coast zone run tackle. That's what he is. That's what he's always been coming out of Notre Dame.
Now, we're going to get back to the offensive line in a second, but I want to, just off of what you're saying, because we've broken this team apart from the front office, and as it translates to the player personnel, I just want to bring this up. I want to talk about the subject of the organization right now, then we'll hone in on the players. What I'm seeing with these off-season moves, let's back it up prior to Sean Payton here. People people in the what I call the peanut gallery, they like to say that Elway is basically just a suggestion box with a pair of legs. Okay, so where I just don't know. I've never seen in the history of any sport around the world that a suggestion box with a pair of legs gets the largest office. He's still listed in the register in the staff. He's still listed as staff, and always he just makes suggestions. When does a suggestion with legs? How does a suggestion box with legs get to run the search committee? Where in the history of anything does it just simply a suggestion box with legs runs an entire search committee, and I call it the Elway tap dance, tap 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 tap, tap 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 tap, tapping George Payton. Say, oh no, you can't hire that. He hired Dan Quinn. Tap tap tap. No, tap tap. How does a suggestion box have the tap 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 ability? And what I see Sean Payton trying to do certain things with certain moves. And we've seen the history of when coaches call up players, talk to players that they want to draft, somehow they don't get picked because it seems like tap, 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 they go into a different direction than what the coach himself was doing. And my Saints source told me that if Sean Payton feels like he's getting cut off at the legs with draft, free agency, if he feels he's getting cut off the legs, he will walk from this team because he's already done it. He said, I guarantee if he feels he's being undermined, he will walk from this team. He'll just say, you keep the rest of the money or whatever. And if what I see going on right now in the Sean Payton, I see moves that they're making, the Sean Payton people are making that actually makes sense. And it's more like what was going on with the Saints. Yep. And then I see the front office making moves that make sense because it's the same shit we've seen for 8 years. And that right tackle is right in that alley. And now we have Sean Payton bringing in a guy, and you just did a film review on that. But my question is, and we'll talk about that, when it's all said and done, is there going to be a tap, 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 tap on George Payton's shoulder? No, and that's not just George Payton. It's the president of play. It's the guys running player personnel right now at the top who were handpicked executives up there.
Scouts too.
And scouts. And is there going to be this clash where Sean Payton says, look, we need to do this. You guys keep doing this over here. And I think that right tackle is an exclamation point of that. You want to address that topic?
I want to address the whole tap, tap, tap that people like to forget and they like to make
the Elway tap dance. Yeah.
The Elway tap, tap, tap that people like to make excuses for. If George Payton was truly running this team, Dan Quinn would be your head coach right now. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I truly believe Dan Quinn would be your head coach going into year 2.
Not that we're endorsing that. Not that we're endorsing it. We're just saying he picked him.
Yeah,
he picked Dan Quinn.
Right now, that's just the reality of the situation. We have Cowboys people, we've had national reporters, we've had local people comment on this thing, Denver Post. We've had so many people say that if George Payton was actually the GM, he would have Dan Quinn as his head coach. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. That's factual information. That's the end of that. Going to the Clash of the Titans, you bring up the whole.
We linked to all that. We linked to all that.
Yeah, we linked
all
to
all those sources. We have links to them. We linked to all of them.
Yeah. Yes.
Plus the draft. Go ahead.
Oh.
But we have people with the draft that said that there's so many Paytons. George Payton wanted to go a direction with the draft. Tap, 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 tap. We can't ignore that. And that's still I think what you have is it's broken down like this. The front office is saying we're going to have a certain amount of picks. And I think, people wanted to get after the bubble man because of the Sean Payton. Well, Sean Payton came here on a thread. I mean, it was like by a thread. They were trying so hard to get Harbaugh, who didn't want to come here. But I'm assuming that to get Sean Payton said, I'm not going to be these other coaches that you dictate to, that I'm going to have a certain amount of say. So I think you got the front office with their way of thinking, that the things they want to do, and you can see that with the right tackle, for instance. And then you got Sean Payton trying to, because you said Sean Payton looked at the film. We can even talk about that too.
Well, when you talk about the whole thing about the clashes inside that front office, I'm telling you right now, if that front office thinks that they're going to do what they did to Nathaniel Hackett, Vic Fangio, and Vance Joseph and change up their offensive scheme, you have another thing coming, because Sean Payton is not going to run the West Coast system. That's not what he's known for, and that's not what he's comfortable doing. We saw the moves of Michael Burton, Ben Powers, Chris Manhurst, the blocking tight ends, so Michael P. Ryan. They are going to play smash-mouth football from the moves that I've seen and watching the film when Sean Payton was the coach and what they ran in New Orleans. It's going to be a multi-power run system with concepts that are dragging routes, spread concepts that are dragging routes in the middle of the field. And that is what they are going to run. It's not going to be this West Coast zone run system that people are saying that he came from the Bill Walsh tree. He's coming from the Bill Parcells tree, not the Bill Walsh tree.
No, well, they didn't know what they were talking about. So with these concepts, also that means that this explains why Sean Payton wanted to get rid of these receivers that Elway overpaid.
And nobody wanted them. Nobody wanted them.
Yeah. No, they can't block. Blocking with
the routes.
These, what's that?
They can't run routes. They're not.
Yeah, we haven't even got there yet. But we were talking about the Sean Payton's these dagger routes and whatever, the screens, for instance, they rely on receivers that actually throw a block, and none of them can.
Michael Thomas.
And this has been a problem we've talked about here. What's that?
Michael Thomas.
We've talked about this. Yeah. Now we've talked about this year in, year out, year out. It's just like because the front office doesn't care about it. So naturally, the rest of the people out there don't care about it. But these are concepts that are near and dear to the Sean Payton system. And I want to talk too about. I think I know what Sean Payton wants to do to help Russell Wilson out.
Get the ball out
and I
quick.
think it's the best. What's that?
Get the ball out quick.
It's just what you just. He's got to get the ball out quick. There can't be. He's got to. That's. But it's that power run, smash mouth, running. So you could even run some pistol concepts. You could RPO type concepts if you wanted to. A little bit. You could. That running back, same source thought that guy they picked up from Kansas City could do a lot of different things that Sean Payton likes to do.
Michael Pittman?
Yeah. So a lot of different things using him as well.
Well, okay, so I think this is what you're going to see. I think it's going to be a mostly smash-heavy, multi-power run system sprinkled in with quick throws, screenplays, and all the above. I think that's why they brought in Michael Burton. I think that's why they brought in Chris Manhertz to do a lot of more blocking-centric type stuff, especially in the passing game, because Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, even KJ Hamler to some degree, they can't block. They can't block to save their life. I've seen KJ Hamler actually be a more willing blocker than I've seen Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton. That's on the film. So if you can say all you want about KJ Hamler, the film doesn't lie. So just want to say that right here, right now.
Yeah, I will say this though. He needs to get out of the hot. He really does. He's become kind of a hot tub.
Yes, absolutely. He has to get out of the hot tub time machine, all like Jawan James, Randy Gregory, all the others. But when it comes to the blocking, I think that's why they brought in Shamichael Pirine, because you brought up the point where he's coming from the Bengals, who was a good pass blocking running back. And I think they're going to be using a lot of blocking techniques in the screen. I think what you're going to see is what they did with Drew Brees near the end of his career. A lot of quick throws, slant plays, a lot of quick screens, and a lot of halfback tosses. I think you're going to see a lot of the quick screen game with what they did with Drew Brees. I think that's what you're going to.
Yeah, that would be a good direction to go in. But with the fact that their new pickup that they got, the right tackle. Explain how the right tackle could help in that concept. I got to go off camera just a second. My sinuses are just killing me.
Okay.
So to talk about the right, you did a film review on it. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, I did a film review on Mike McGlinchey, and I think the thing that he will be very good at is a lot of the stretch plays that they run. If they want to run a lot of halfback stretches with the fullback, and they have Mike McGlinchey and Chris Manhertz on one side, and they do a lot of stretch plays. Also, they can use him a lot of screen plays. I think that's where something he can excel at, get into that second level, being able to wall off off-ball linebackers, inside linebackers, safeties that come down into the box. They can use him in a lot of creative ways. But if you're strictly going to have him as a pass-protecting right tackle and a straightforward right tackle on a consistent basis, that is where you are going to struggle with him.
Well, that's why I think they picked up that running back, because he's one of the better block for the quarterback. Yeah.
But I also think that's where they brought in that Chris Manhertz, that tight end, because if you saw the film review, they put, even in San Francisco, they put George Kittle and a plethora of other tight ends on his side of the field, not Trent Williams. And I point that out in the film review.
That was really good. You did a recent film review because Sean Payton, not George Payton, Sean Payton brought in I think Sean, before we talk about your film review, I want to talk about this really quick. We'll segue into that. Sean Payton looked at the film, and you sent me the clip about his comment on that. Did it sound like us? Did he sound like us?
He was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Is Sean Payton a Bronco hater? I mean, can you expand on
a Bronco hater? Well, you're going to have those people out there that think he's a Bronco hater, just like we're the most hated Broncos fans and, on the YouTube and whatever. We're the biggest Broncos haters. I'm two-faced and you're chopped liver. But when it comes to what Sean Payton watches the film. Okay, he's a good X's and O's. You've brought this up many, many times. He's a good X's and O's coach. I believe he is. And he watched.
Go ahead.
He watched the film and he was like, oh my God, this was horrific. He wasn't talking about just Russell Wilson. He was talking about the offensive line. I bet he was also talking about the defense. And he was talking about the receivers who can't block, who can't separate on a consistent basis, who can't catch the ball on a consistent basis. He watched the film, the all 22 film, and was like, oh my God.
Yeah, you saw what we've been seeing for 8 years because I just want to remind people who may not be familiar with us is that last year at this time, when they got Russell Wilson, we did all kinds of film review, and as we got closer to the season, we said that what was going to happen, we said was going to happen, and even though we said that, we didn't think it was going to be as disastrous as it was, but we said it was never going to be it was impossible because of the player personnel, the fact you got a new coach, the fact that the idea was, according to the front offices, that the players were going to run the coaching staff. The players were going to be coaching themselves, basically, because what was it? Fangio, just old way of doing things. He wanted to do his way, which makes sense. He didn't want to do what the players suggested, this, that, and the other. So it was kind of a mutiny kind of thing. The players know best. Well, obviously they didn't. And now it's an about face march is like 180 degrees. Now they're telling the players, no, you're not going to be dictating anything. And so you got a different mindset now. And apparently that didn't sell well with Cortland Sutton, right? Because he went right to Twitter, didn't he? So, that's where I said the clash is going to start. You're going to start seeing a clash. But, okay, Sean Payton, he brought in another offensive lineman because obviously we've been right all along about the offensive line being inconsistent. The inconsistency is the problem. And who was it that they brought in, and why did you like that interview?
Well, they brought in Jordan Rhodes, offensive guard from Arkansas State. He was a transfer from South Carolina. I really like this guy. This guy reminds me a lot of Brandon Brooks coming out of college, who is just a mauling machine. Once he gets his hands on you, you're not going to get off of him. I think that this guy has a lot of technique problems to some degree when it comes to certain levels of his game. But if he goes to the right system, those can be refined. He is an excellent run blocker. This guy would fit. I'm telling you right now, if you put Ben Powers, Quinton Miners at center, and you draft this guy on day 3, and that's if the Denver Broncos pull the trigger on that. If they draft Jordan Rhodes and he is your right guard, your interior set. Now you have to worry about the right tackles. And the one thing I love about Jordan Rhodes,
right and left tackle.
I love about Jordan Rhodes, and this is something that nobody talks about. He is a constant communicator on that offensive line. When you watch my film review, you see him talking to the right tackle. You see him talking to the center, pointing out certain things as a right guard. I mean, his communication and his understanding of the game is so it's fun to watch. I mean, I watched his film over and over again, and I'm just in awe that nobody is talking about this dude. And
can I ask you a question? You can get back into it. Is this the kind of guy that you would have expect that the people running the front office for the last 8 years, they're still all there, all that player personnel machine over those 8 years, they're still there, picked by Elway. Is this the kind of guy that they would covet?
No.
You never would. So this is, and this guy, he fits the system, right?
I believe this is a Zach Strife, Sean Payton thing.
Absolutely. And why does he fit so well?
Because he is a multi-dimensional power run gap guard.
unlike this guy we got from San Francisco, which is a complete different system, diametrically different than that. That line of
right now, your interior set. If Ben Powers, I love the move of Ben Powers. That is Zach Strife, and Ben Powers even said that Zach Strife was essential to come to this. I mean, people aren't talking about Zach Strife enough. Quinton Miner's at center. Get rid of Lloyd Cushenberry. You have what's his face? Jordan Rhodes from Arkansas State. You plug him in, and he's a starter. I believe he is a starting caliber right guard for the multi-power run scheme. He is Osiris Torrance. He is a level behind Osiris Torrance. You want your Osiris Torrance in this draft? There's Jordan Rhodes, and that is a direct correlation to Sean Payton and Zach Strife. And I'm telling you, there's a reason why he hired Zach Strife as his first hire. Guaranteed that is a Zach Strife look right there.
And I think the people close to the front office were saying how much they hated that because I think that, again, it puts that wedge. It's, because I really believe that the Sean Payton is head and shoulders better than anything that front office could ever do in a lifetime.
Yes.
And I just would like to see a little more just getting Sean Payton's influence and start nudging out that front office out. They need to go. They needed to go a long time ago. And if they sabotage, I'm telling you, if they sabotage Sean Payton, he is going to. He said he'll just say that I'm gone. But I said to you, because Penner himself became the GM, and George Payton gets bypassed all the time anyway. He personally went, and I think that that Sean Payton has an open door to Penner. And I just don't think it's going to fly with Penner if that front office is playing the Fangio, the Vance Joseph, the Nathaniel Hackett runs the interference. I think that he's not going to put up with it. And I think that relationship he has with Penner hopefully will win out over that the guy with the suggestion box with the legs, so to speak. And I think what Sean Payton is trying to do is I think he wants to get the Russell Wilson in really short yardage situations by maybe a power run. He wants to have short fields or short third downs.
Yep, couldn't
agree.
And
I agree, and I agree that that's the approach to go. And here, let's say this too. I think the plan is to maybe, if they can get Rhodes, is to get Miners into the center position. Because can you explain? You did film on Miners when nobody talked about him, and you were excited about him. Now everybody's on board. But before anybody, it was you, and you talked about him as a center. Can you talk about that? Miners as a center.
Also, I want to bring up the fact that I want to pat myself on the back on Jordan Rhodes because I was going to do film on him even before the Denver Broncos, and I am so high on Jordan Rhodes. I've watched film on him, and not a lot of people are, talking about him nationally, even locally. When I saw Sean Payton, I called you and I said, dude, you heard the excitement in my voice when I said they're looking at one of my guys that is not talked about. This is why I love looking at those day 3, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round picks, is because that's something that I'm very good at. I got to pat myself on the back.
Absolutely.
But moving Quinton Miners to center, I believe Jordan Rhodes is the Quinton Miners of this draft. And the reason I say that is because they're coming from small schools. They're not well known, but they're so damn good. And Quinton Miners playing that center position. He played the center position at the Senior Bowl. He did really good things. I think just plugging him in there at center. I think using him as that initial just push, getting that multi-power run scheme, getting him and could you imagine pulling Quinton Miners and Jordan Rhodes on the right side, or just running behind those two? I mean, oh my God, they would be maulers, and they are mauling players. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but see, I don't see Lloyd Cushenberry at all in that role, in that power gap role at all. It makes no sense.
No, well, the pick didn't make sense years ago when we drafted him, and people were just like, "What the hell?" I mean, it didn't make any sense.
You know what? People even said that were LSU people. They were like, "Why would you make this guy a starter?"
He sucks.
You could say maybe a rotational backup or something like this, but no way would you. Well, he's not physical enough for that role.
Well, he's not. He hasn't grown in his technique at all. He still gets pushed back.
I want to say something too in Cushionberry's defense a little bit, and these players' defense, and it doesn't get talked. Because we sound like Sirius XM when players and coaches.
Yep.
And we're more that. These players get screwed, I think, all the time because I think they end up on a Broncos of the last 8 years who have no clue what they're doing. And they got this system they're running this week, this other system they're running next week. They don't know what system. They don't have any identity. And these players get stuck here. I mean, Locke is a perfect example of that. And
Noah Fant.
Yeah, Noah Fant.
Dalton Reiser's another one.
Dalton Reiser, exactly. So these players get caught up, and then somebody at the top, a suggestion box with legs, tap, tap, tap. Oh, no, I'm going to bring Shermer in, and because I want to be Kansas City. You can't just be Kansas City. It's you don't know what you're doing. Kansas City, to be Kansas City, you got to go look at their history before even Alex Smith came on and what they were doing, how they were building, how they were scouting. They found themselves an identity. They stuck with it. The Bills now have figured that out, that we've got to keep Eagles, the Detroit Lions now are doing this template. And who did you say is blowing it all up? The Rams are blowing it back.
The Titans. The Titans are blowing it up.
Titans are blowing it up. And Sean Payton realizes what he has to do here. And it's going to be interesting to see if he gets interfered with.
Well, I want to see if he gets interfered with number one, the draft, because you and I talking to our Saints source, we're going to know what the Sean Payton players are in the front office.
We don't see a player that makes sense, and they get a Nick Burrito or something that makes totally no sense.
Well, no. Yeah, and then these people gave it Nick Burrito A+ moves, and then you have I want to see what they're going to do offensively, because we're going to know the offensive scheme that Sean Payton ran in New Orleans. And if they interfere with that, I think that's going to piss him off even more, because that is something he's excelling at, is X's and O's. And if they're going to interfere with that, just like they did with Fangio, just like they did with Rich Scangarello, just like they did with Vance Joseph, just like they did with Gary Kubiak near the end there, he's not going to take that.
No.
I think you're bringing up the draft, and I perfectly agree with you. But I think there's another side of this where if they interfere with him with his offensive scheme, I think he's just like, I can't do this.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting too. I think I have to admit though, there's no doubt the right tackle is front office centric without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Well, maybe even less the pick as opposed to overpaying part of the aspect, because they didn't wait. I think they got nervous.
The pick and the pain made sense. You could have went out and got a Kayla McCray from who re-signed with the Falcons, who is a good player, not a great player, but a good serviceable player. Then you could draft somebody behind him, develop him, and then he could take over Kayla McCray. I wanted Jawan Taylor. That was my guy. I knew we weren't going to get him, but the Kansas City Chiefs got him. And he is going to be a damn good player for them. And he fits what Sean Payton wants to do. And he's a right tackle-centric player. That I'm telling you, Jawan Taylor would have been a better fit here than Mike McGlinchey. That's my opinion on it.
Again, because of the state of the Denver Broncos, Jawan Taylor has to actually want to come. He would have to want to come here.
Yeah.
So, so again, we're got to hope that Payton can build a bridge that's been burned down and destroyed from that front office, to get players like that to come here.
Yeah.
And now you're going to be dealing with cap issues. They're going to be hitting like real soon.
Yep. You got Wilson's cap, who's going to start hitting here soon. You got all the other caps, Gregory's. I mean, you had to overpay for Alex Singleton again. I mean, man, I'm just, yep.
Yeah. So the draft it would be interesting, but like I said, are they gonna, if the guy goes then to another team before the Broncos can pick them up, your guy, well then, we got to see plan B. But you're right. If we see Nick Burrito type moves on the first, with the first pick, we know what's going on. But the way I see it is, this is how I see it. I think Sean Payton gets the first, third round pick. The second, the front office gets. Yeah, so this is the way it's looking to me. Maybe Vance Joseph gets the next round picks. We'll see. We'll know. You can tell the front office is diametrically different than what we're seeing with Sean Payton.
Couldn't agree more.
So,
yep.
Yeah. So I will post your film studies. You did another offensive lineman, I believe.
Jordan Rhodes.
Well, you did one recently, Jordan Rhodes, and then one before.
Zion Nelson from Miami.
And Zion Nelson from Miami. So, you did a linebacker in Florida who XM was saying that's their top guy in Florida going out, because Florida's kind of depleted right now.
Yeah.
Player personnel. So, but I'll post all those film studies. But it's going to be an interesting draft. Is there anything that you'd like to add?
Nope.
I don't either. I'm in my mother's basement. My mother wants me to hang my clothes out.
Okay. All right.
I really wish I did have a mother's basement. My mother doesn't have a basement, so if she did, I would absolutely make sure I would do all my broadcasts from the basement, just because we have such a great track record that I'd like these people that think they know everything and they're always wrong every year, with everything. I got the microphone.
Yeah.
Well, we got the know-how. So I don't have the microphone. I don't really want to go out and do all that, but we do have the know-how. So we'll just see how this draft goes, and it'll be very interesting.
Absolutely. And I just want to remind everybody, this isn't a fan-centric channel. This is a GM/film-centric channel.
Yeah. Coach scouting. So, and then you're looking at, it's really interesting when we're breaking film down too. We're looking at, like, say for instance, we do a Jerry Jeudy film breakdown, like you just did one recently, was posted at the links posted at our last video. But we're looking at a lot of our other players. We're also looking at the other team and evaluating their players. We're doing a full evaluation, so it even goes beyond the one guy we're focusing on, and because we're going through series.
Play upon. Yep, absolutely. Yep, couldn't agree.
Yeah, so that's what you get. So a little bit of me with hard liquor right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so that's it. I'll let you go.
Okay, take care.
You too. Until next time. After the draft, right? That's kind of the next.
We could do maybe a draft video. See what happens here in the next few weeks before the draft. Maybe we could do one and then one after the draft.
If there's some things happens, yeah.
All right.
You got it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.